We are committed in Iraq. And Germany, of course, is committed to NATO as the central pillar of transatlantic relations, but also to European defense policy. We believe these aspects complement each other. They are not opposed to each other. They are not competing. They complement each other. They belong together. Our interests as European Union are sometimes more important to us than to others. For example, our commitment in Africa or the future of Syria. These are countries that are very close to Europe. They are in our neighborhood, and therefore we are particularly affected by what happens there. In recent years, we have increased our commitment in Africa, even though we know, of course, that France is bearing most of the burden there. Nevertheless, we are involved in the UN mission MINUSMA, a training mission for armed forces in Mali, but also in Niger, and we are also supporting the G5 Sahel initiative. I'd like to discuss this with the United States of America. How can we help these countries in their fight against terrorism? Could we not have a Chapter 7 mandate of the United Nations that would help those countries and support them in their fight, in their very difficult fight against terrorism? Our relationship with Africa is of great strategic significance, so naturally it has to be an important topic in transatlantic discussions. One of the hubs, one of the central points when it comes to defeating Islamic terrorism is the question, what happens in Libya? We have taken on more diplomatic responsibility there. I'm glad to say that we've had some success in the United Nations process, but we should not be naive. There's still a significant danger of Libya turning into the plaything of important powers without really providing a perspective to the Libyan people. The European Union is trying to help them, but the transatlantic partnership should also help make sure that the future of the country belongs to the Libyan people. We must support the constitutional process, and that is led by the United Nations in Syria, because in Syria, too, there can only be a peaceful solution if all the people who had to leave the country have a political future in their home country. We will, of course, cooperate closely when it comes to the JCPOA, the deal with Iran. We hope that the deal still has a chance. The transatlantic partnership has two major tasks ahead of it, and we need our joint strategy to tackle that, and one of them is our relationship with Russia. When it comes to the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, we have not really made any progress in recent years. The Minsk process is a diplomatic instrument that can be used, but it has not been successful. Russia has repeatedly caused hybrid conflicts that EU states have been involved in. So we need an agenda on Russia, a joint agenda. We must offer cooperation on the one hand, but on the other hand, we must be clear about the differences we have. And I can only agree with the US President about the question of a strong European Union. Unfortunately, this is not what Russia is doing at the moment. The second thing, and that is more complex, we need a joint agenda with regard to China. China, on the one hand, is a competitor, but on the other hand, we need China to settle global problems such as climate change, biodiversity, and others. In recent years, China has gained more power on the international stage, and we as a transatlantic alliance and as democratic countries need to react to that. So the question about vaccine deliveries, not just from China and Russia to developing countries, that is an important question. Also the question, what can we do by means of COVAX, by means of multilateral efforts, communities such as G7, what can we do to make sure developing countries in Africa and elsewhere can make progress on that count? Multilateral organizations such as the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization, the International Monetary Funds must be strengthened once again. Wherever we are weak, wherever we are too slow to react, too slow to make changes, subsidiary structures in Asia have often been created by China or led by China. So we must take action to show we have something to set against that. So together we must define the strategic challenges. The agenda is clear. We need to come up with ways of doing this together. Our interests will not always converge. We shouldn't be clear about that. Where there are differences, we should talk about them frankly. But the main principles, the values, our belief in democracy, there we broadly agree. We have broad foundations to build on. We must make it clear that we do not want to create countries dependent on us, but we want to help others and convey our values and ideals, and the transatlantic partnership is at the core of this effort. I can only say there's a lot to do. Germany stands for a new chapter in transatlantic relations. We are ready for this, and I'm delighted to say we are ready to do this here at the Security Conference.
Thank you, Madam Chancellor. This is probably a positive transatlantic message that will please many. Thank you.
C'était donc une transmission directe à partir de l'Allemagne des allocutions prononcées par le président américain Joe Biden et la chancelière allemande Angela Merkel pendant la conférence de Munich sur la sécurité. Je dois vous rappeler que le président américain Joe Biden a promis via visioconférence que l'alliance transatlantique était de retour après 4 ans de mandat de Donald Trump. Il s'est exprimé lors de son premier grand discours de politique étrangère pour la conférence de la sécurité de Munich. Je cite, « Je vous parle aujourd'hui comme président des États-Unis, tout au début de mon administration, et j'envoie un message clair au monde. L'Amérique est de retour, l'Alliance transatlantique est de retour. » Fin de citation. C'était donc une déclaration de la part du 46e président des États-Unis depuis la Maison-Blanche. Donc avec ça, nous arrivons à la fin de cette édition de notre journal complet en langue française. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention et bonne suite dans le programme national et international.